Uh, Good morning, class 8. Now, this is part 22. Now, today I will discuss about in previous video I discussed about the macronutrient, and now today I will discuss about the micronutrient. As I told you earlier that micro means small. So plants need all these nutrients, whatever I have written here, in very small quantity. As we are using salt, vitamins, etc. in the small quantity. So these are the micronutrients are used by the plants in very small quantity. First is boron. Boron, I think you can't understand. It is in the inorganic chemistry. Boron is the one element. Boron is one type of element. It helps in the seed germination. So do you understand? If there is less boron, then it will take time for the germination, and again it will help in the formation of seed also, seed wall also, not cell wall, seed wall, or the covering of the seed. Then next is copper. Copper, you know that metal, we are using copper vessels and other things, copper wire. So plants also need copper. First and foremost, essentiality of copper is present, or if it is not present, the flowers and fruits will not give it essence or flavor. Due to the presence of copper, the flowers and fruits can give the essence or sweet smell or the different type of smell. If there is no copper, then the flower and fruit will have no type of flavor. First and foremost, necessity of the copper is to provide flavor, or you can say essence. Then obviously copper is if present, then it will help in the various types of metabolic activities, and then it also helps in the catalysis or to catalyze the metabolic activities. That means to promote the activities. That's why I think children, you know that today, or not today, that is nowadays, people using that copper vessel. Now there is RO also with the copper element to give the water with the copper element, and human can drink for their use. So it acts as catalyst also. Then next is iron. Iron, children, as we need for our red blood cells to carry the oxygen, and here also iron helps in the transportation of oxygen. Yet they have no RBC, no hemoglobin, but they need iron to carry the oxygen. Then it also helps in cell division, and also if the cell division, they are helping in the cell division, so they also help in the growth of the cell division, and then after getting proper growth, the cell again can divide. Next is manganese, not magnesium, manganese. As children, you have noticed already that milk protein having vitamin D, so calcium is only cannot function without vitamin D. This is also, manganese is also acts like that. Without manganese, potassium and calcium cannot work properly. That's why in very small amount, but they need manganese to activate the activity of potassium and calcium. And These manganese also helps to prepare different types of enzyme for their activities. Next is MO, molybdenum. Molybdenum have a main function to change the nitrates into ammonia, which is very essential for the plants to prepare some proteins. So that's why it is present, mainly it is present to those plants, those who are giving pulses to us, because pulses have protein. So more molybdenum is present in the plants, pulses plants. And then it converts inorganic substances, phosphate into organic phosphate. That means organic phosphates will be essential for the living organism, and inorganic phosphate present in the atmosphere. So inorganic phosphate can be changed in presence of molybdenum to the organic phosphate and can be present in the plant's body. Last one is zinc. Children, you are nowadays looking or watching in the TV, watching in the TV that zinc is very essential to provide us immunity. So in the same way, zinc is also essential for the plant, but it is also again micronutrient. That means they need in very small quantity. So in presence of zinc, those plants give us carbohydrate, wheat, rice, maize, barley. All these plants need zinc to prepare the carbohydrate or the formation of carbohydrate. Then it also helps in formation of the enzymes and some vitamins, those who are present in the plant, and then they are also helpful in the growth of the plant. If they help to form carbohydrate, if they help to form the activities, then they will also help in the formation of body, that means plant body. Yet we are also using it. It also helps in our body also, but mainly it is present in the plant and we can get it, and plants also take it for their proper growth and proper activity. So in this way, these are boron, copper, iron, manganese, molybdenum and zinc. These are micronutrients. In case of all these micronutrients also, please children, one or two function of it and one type of deficiency disease you have to learn from the book. Now children, I will come to the next topic. Not next chapter children, next topic. It is plant tissue. As we are studying about the plant function, so we should know about the type of cell or type of tissue found in the plant which are helpful in different types of functions. So as children, you studied in class 5 or class 6 then about the plant cell and animal cell. So now I am not going to teach about the plant cell. When the cell will combine, will form the tissue. So plant tissues are of two types. Mainly meristematic and next one permanent. So children, today I will explain about the meristematic tissues. Meristematic tissues. These are the collection of the cell, as the name is given, tissue. But these are having some special features or characters or qualities. How they become changes into the permanent tissue. So these are the characters for the meristematic tissue. as children, when we are going to prepare our houses, so we are collecting so many bricks from the beginning. We don't know that this brick will go to which place, or this brick will be fixed for which room. So meristematic tissues are also like that, bricks. So first character of the meristematic tissue, cells are small and thin. Cells are specially thin walled and having a small area, because all these cells are present without intercellular space. In between these cells there will be no intercellular space, because they have to divide and redivide. This is the main functions of the meristematic tissue. They are easily divisible, or they are dividing and redividing throughout their lifespan. See, so there is no gap between the cells, so they are without intercellular spaces. Third point, they have dense cytoplasm. Meristematic tissue, the cytoplasm of the meristematic tissue will be dense or thick, because when they have to divide, then thick cytoplasm becomes thin, and then cell become grown up, and lastly it will go to the permanent, or it will form the permanent tissue. So they have dense cytoplasm. Fourth point, nucleus is large and centrally placed. The nucleus is bigger in size rather than the permanent tissue, and always their position will be at the center. Why? Because at that time they have no function to collect the water, to collect cell sap, and it has to pass from one cell to another cell. That's why vacuoles are very small in size, and nucleus will be placed at the center, or nucleus is present at the center. So the vacuoles are very small in size at that time. Next point, they are dividing and redividing through their lifespan. That's why number of cells will be increased in those areas where there will be meristematic tissue. So main character of the meristematic tissue, they will divide and redivide, and main character of permanent tissue, they are permanent. That means there will be no increasing of number of cells, or they remain actively for one type of activity, and there is no cell division. Children, all of you know, when plants are trimmed from their top, then plant will get the more length. But if you will break the stem or branch from elsewhere, then in between the length of the stem or branch, then there will be no growth of that same branch. Yet it is destroyed or it gets wilted. So now next point, cell differentiation. As the children, I given you the example of bricks. When the bricks are fixed for one room, and afterwards we discussed about it that it will be our drawing room. It means now the bricks whichever are fixed in that room, they are used for our drawing room. So in the same way, after dividing and redividing, cell starts differentiation, means that cell start to change its function and structure, or you can say first it changes structure, and then according to the function it will completely changed into the another structure, and then it is called as cell differentiation. After getting cell differentiation, meristematic tissues, becomes permanent tissue. Now there will be no cell division in permanent tissue. Till it is meristematic tissue, it helps to dividing and redividing again and again and helps to increase the number of cells. So children, yet it is not in your book, but you have to copy from it, that you have to write by yourself that what are the characters of the meristematic tissue. Now children, these are the types of meristematic tissue. Types of meristematic tissue means what type of meristematic tissues are present in a plant. See, it is very easy. If meristematic tissue present at the apex of the stem or apex of the root, that means tip of the root or tip of the stem or tip of the branches, these meristematic tissues are called apical meristematic tissue. So yet the main character of this tissue will divide and redivide. So when we trim the plants from the top of it, plant will get the length. So apical meristematic tissue will help a plant to get the length or it gets the height. Next type, intercalary. See children, suppose this is the stem and this is the node. This is node, this is node, this is internode. So, if the meristematic tissues are present in near to node but in the internode, see, this is the internode, and if it is present, suppose here, near to node but present in the internode, so at that time they are named as intercalary meristematic tissue. So obviously children, you can understand, intercalary meristematic tissue will help to grow the length of internode. I think you have seen in sugarcane. At the lower side of it, internodes are having very small size, or the nodes are present nearer to each other. But when they are going at the top of it, of that sugarcane, the internodes are longer than the lower one. So these meristematic tissues, that is intercalary meristematic tissues, are present near to node but in the internode, by which it can cause the more length of the internodes. Third one, lateral. As children, you know about the lateral word. Lateral means sidewise. If suppose this is the stem and these are the nodes, but these meristematic tissues are present at the periphery of the stem. So simply you can understand, if they start dividing and redividing, then they can give more and more cells, by which it can grow in thickness. So lateral meristematic tissue will provide thickness to the plant. Mainly they are present in the tree trunk. That's why tree trunk becomes more wide or thick than the other branches. So these are the lateral meristematic tissue, and lateral meristematic tissue have another name, that is cambium. So due to that presence of cambium, number of cells they are getting, which help to create more width in the plant. Sometimes this cambium may present in between the root and suppose this is the vascular bundle and cambium is present here. This is xylem and this is phloem. So when it is present between the xylem and phloem, so it will produce more cells either towards xylem or towards phloem or towards both the sides, and then they can increase the thickness of the vascular bundle. So children, these are the characters of the meristematic tissues. These are the types of meristematic tissues, and apical present an apex, intercalary between the internodes between the nodes present in internodes, and lateral, that means towards the lateral side of the node stem, and which gives thickness towards the periphery, and due to that tree trunk becomes more thick or wider. So children, for today this is over. Thank you. God bless you.